Welcome to selfdiscoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Choose Positive Living right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sara Troy, and my wonderful guest is Linda Bucher. I've had the honor of being on her podcast where we had a delicious conversation, and it was all about me. Today, it's all about her. So we're going to make a discovery of why she has chosen the path to be a ripple maker. And she said your gifts matter. The world needs what only you can bring. She believes with every fiber in her being that your gifts matter and that the world needs only what you can bring. But she didn't always feel that way. For years, she chased the success by the world's definition, climbing ladders, checking boxes, doing everything, quote, quote, right. And yet she felt stuck, unfulfilled, disconnected from who she truly was. It took a series of losses and life-altering moments, we call that the cosmic 2x4, to wake her up, to see the real success doesn't come from what you do for approval, but from living in alignment of who you really are. And that awakening changed everything. Now, a master certified life coach and speaker, she helps high potential individuals, those who want to know more about for them and feel stuck in the meh, break free and step into life that feels bold and empowered. Hella yes. Her mission is simply but powerful: to guide you towards clarity, confidence, and meaning. Because when you know your worth and you own your gifts, you don't just change your life, you create a ripple that reaches others. And that's how we change the world, one person at a time, starting with you. And in her 30s, her life looked great on paper, but inside she felt deeply unsatisfied. So how are we going to look at this today? Who has not come to that point in life going, what the heck? Why am I on this path? Why is this path just not feel like it's fitting and I feel disconnected? Shouldn't I be happy? Because on paper and by life expectations, I apparently have it all. So how come I feel so empty? Who hasn't felt that way, Linda?
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel this way, but not everybody stops, to question the question that I asked myself. And I remember the day, no one was home, but I said it out loud because I often talk to myself out loud. I'm like, I
That's a
don't,
good conversation.
oh yeah, I mean, and I answered. And I remember, and I said, I was like, I don't know what life I'm meant to be living, but I'm so sure it's not this one.
Hmm.
And that was like that was the most probably the most powerful intention that I had ever set, not even knowing I had set an intention.
Hmm.
But I just unleashed something that day, like, whatever it is, I want that. I don't know what it is, but I want that because this isn't it. Like I
Yeah.
knew with every fiber of my being, it just wasn't it. And I'm not sure people stop long enough to ask themselves that question, like, am I settling? Am
Mm.
I in alignment? Sometimes, like, as I remember, I didn't know what was wrong. I was like, is it me? Is it my marriage? Is it my job? Like, something's not right, and I don't know what it is. And it wasn't something I could figure out cerebrally. That
No,
wasn't the
no.
pathway.
Hmm. No. I kind of, you had the nudge, nudge, wink, wink. You kind of didn't wait for the cosmic 2x4, although, they come
Oh,
along with
I
a
did.
little nudge and then sometimes a real wackaroo if you're not paying attention, right? So, but, I always say when you're aware, you care. When you care, you do something about it. But most people go through unaware. Well, I just maybe if I get that promotion, or maybe if I get this, or maybe if I get that, I will be happy. And it's constantly chasing the maybes or the outside expectation life. And life is an inside out job. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are, how rich, how popular. It's an inside out job. And when we hear that little voice inside say, I'm not happy, you're settling, pay attention, please. Pay attention because you may not know what is making you unhappy, but at least now you're aware you're unhappy. Now you can start paying attention to what is making you unhappy and start doing something about it. So, what did you do about it?
So, okay, well, it kind of was a journey that was very unexpected. And I did, in my little story, you'll hear that I did actually wait around for the 2x4 to hit me. so, so the first thing that I did when I realized I didn't know what the problem was it
Hmm.
my marriage, was it my job, was it me? As I said, well, if it's me, at least that's something I have control over. I can do something about that. I didn't know at the time there was such a thing as a life coach. I mean, we're talking, in the earlier 2000s, very
Hmm.
early 2000s, probably like 2001, like a long
Hmm.
time. And I didn't know there was such a thing. And yes, there was, all out in California,
Yes.
but not in Buffalo, New York, where I hail from. And so I reached out to find a therapist. I didn't, like a therapist has a very different job than a coach. And looking back,
Hmm.
I did not need a therapist. I really needed a coach, but I didn't know better. So I said, well, I'm gonna do my own work, right? And talk with this therapist and say whatever I got to do, right? Because even if it's my marriage, can I fix my part of it? If it's
Yes.
my job, can I fix my part of it? If it's me, can I fix my part of it? Like, help me fix this, right? So I started there. And just in talking out loud, um, there was a lot of things I let myself know. So there was value in going to that therapist
Hmm.
because there was things I probably wouldn't have said out loud to my sisters or my best friend or anything. It just kind of walking through it and allowing myself to be really vulnerable and just letting it come out. And I really learned a bunch of things about myself. And I remember my marriage was very hard. Um, my husband was an alcoholic. Not
Hmm.
that he would admit that, but even the marriage counselor said, yes, you're
Yeah.
an alcoholic. And it was a very difficult road. And at the time, I saw myself as the victim. I see that very differently now. But at the
Hmm.
time, I'm like, I'm the victim of his alcoholism.
Hmm.
And that was part of what I didn't realize I was settling. I thought I had to, like, this is it. You love this person. So what are you going to
You
do?
stand by them through thick and
Right.
thin. Yeah.
You do, but you resent it. And so
Yes.
and so the emotions were not so great. And talking with that therapist about those types of things, I learned the conclusion I came to myself is that I was staying in the marriage because I chose to, not because I needed to. And
Mm.
that was a
Hmm.
huge leap in that journey from going from victim to hero.
Yes.
And that was just the very beginning because I got a
Mm.
whole story about but just that, like, and I remember I told my husband that time, one day I said, I don't know if you're going to think this is good news or bad news, but I want to come clean. I'm in this marriage not because I need to be. I used to need you. I used to need somebody to love me. But I don't need that anymore. I've like been doing a lot of soul searching and growing internally, and I'm here because I choose to be.
Hmm.
Now, the what I didn't say out loud, but I'm sure you heard loud and clear, is like, oh no, what if you don't choose to be, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
as things got harder with the alcoholism, um, I will say I had one foot out the door. I
Hmm.
was like, well, because what happens is a victim stays in the most powerless land of hoping and waiting,
Yep.
hoping something
Things
or
will
someone
change.
is going to change and
Hmm.
waiting for it to happen.
Hmm.
And I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. It is the worst place to live. And I lived there for decades,
Hmm.
decades. So when I realized that I was in a place of choice, no, I'm choosing.
Hmm.
Just getting out of that land of hoping and waiting, like I was like, well, I'll give it one more chance. I'll give it my all, right? But knowing like I have the strength and the ability to make it on my own, that was a huge
Hmm.
knowing. And so then I'm like, I am in a place of choice, and that's where a
Hmm.
hero hangs out, is in a place of choice.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that was the very beginning. Shortly after that, my husband died in his sleep without
Oh,
warning. He was 44 years old. My
wow.
my adopted children, I have three adopted children. They were 3, 5, and 7 years old.
Wow.
So I got thrown into sudden widowhood and
Mm,
sudden single mom, right? Which threw me back into Victimville
mm-hmm, hmm.
because, poor Linda. Now she
Hmm.
got to raise these kids all by herself,
Yes.
right? These three grieving children. And that was not an easy road. Well, my daughter, she was the super easy road. She still is. She's 23 now, my youngest. But back then, my boys struggled, and I struggled with them because they didn't
Hmm.
have a dad, and I didn't. I never had any brothers, and I didn't know what the heck I was doing. We all just are making it up as parents every day anyway.
Yes, exactly.
They gave me a run for my money, and so it was very easy for me to stay in Victimville
Hmm.
for a long time. Now, right before my husband had died, I bought a book because of the title. So this was when I was in this ready, like, okay, I I'm ready. I'm ready for something. That intention was thrown out to the universe, and then I'm in a bookstore. I'm shopping for gifts for Christmas, and all of a sudden, here is the stand with a new release, and the title of the book is Finding Your Own North Star, Claiming the Life You're Meant to Live.
Hmm.
And I had a visceral response. I was like, oh, I want that. I picked up the book,
Yeah.
I grabbed it, I stuck it in my arm. I was like, this is mine. I'm going to do this, right?
Yeah.
And this is before my husband had died. Um, and I was like so excited when I got home. So like I read the foreword and I was like, oh my God, this is going to be the book. This is where the answer is. Still
Right.
thinking it's outside of myself, of course, at this time, which you and I both know is not true. And then I read chapter one. I'm like, oh, perfect. So great. This is great. I got into chapter two, and now it's asking me for answers. There's fill in the blanks. I'm like, darn, I'm going to have to go inside on
Hmm.
some long, drawn out journey to find the answers. So I do chapter two. I get into chapter three. I'm there's fill in the blanks in this whole entire book. And by the way, this book is by Dr. Martha Beck, who is amazing and who I ended up studying with and certifying with as both a life coach and a master certified life coach.
Hmm.
So that was the journey of where the universe wanted me to go. I started with that book, right?
Yes,
But
the neon
halfway,
sign flashing.
yes, exactly. But halfway through this book, I was not really ready to be out of
Hmm.
Victimville. And
Hmm.
I kept all my answers were about my husband should do this and he should do that and he should change. And I just put the book down. Somehow it made its way to the bottom of a cedar chest.
Hmm.
And then he died, and then I'm raising these kids. And now 9 years goes by. Okay. So
Hmm.
wink, wink, nudge, nudge along the way.
Oh,
Probably, I mean, the
yes.
book was right in front of me, right?
Yes, exactly. House
I,
cleaning, go there.
right.
Yeah.
But 9 years later, there's a rummage sale for my son's school. And I'm like, well, I think there's some books in the bottom of the cedar chest. I open that
Mhm.
up. I'm like, donate, donate, donate. And then here's this title again.
Yeah.
Finding Your Own North Star, Claiming the Life You're Meant to Live. And
Mhm.
I go, oh, what the heck
It's like a good friend just found you again.
found me? It was
Yeah.
like, oh, hello, I was waiting to open it. So now I'm in a new place, right?
Mm.
Still in Victimville, but no longer married to an alcoholic, on
Mhm.
my own. I've been on my own for a couple years as a widow, and I started over. I scribbled out my old answers and I started over, and I couldn't get enough of this book. I was up answering till like 2 in the morning. I am halfway through this book, and I'm like, who is this Martha Beck person? And how does she know so much about me? Is she peering through my windows? Like, how does she
The
know?
fly on the wall.
Right? Like, how does she know me? So the next day at work, when I'm supposed to be working, I go online and I look up I find her website. And this is like 2000, end of 2009. And now at this time, here's when the two by fours have been hitting me.
Mhm.
I used to love the job, and management changed, bosses changed. Um, and I changed because yes, I felt my ego loved that job. I had a nice office to myself. I had power suits. I was, like in management. I was like, oh, God, this is beautiful.
You're
But all of a
recognized.
sudden, yes, recognized.
Mm,
But all of a sudden, I started self-sabotaging. I couldn't get my ass to work on time. I couldn't get
mm,
there. I would try. Like,
mhm.
you gotta be at your desk at 8 o'clock, Linda. And I'd show up at like 8:25, 8:45, 9:03. Oh my God, like what is wrong with you? And it was
Mhm,
like kicking and screaming. I couldn't get myself there. My back and my neck were in constant pain.
mhm.
I couldn't sleep for more than 15 minutes at a time without like waking up in pain and having to move. I couldn't sit through a staff meeting. I couldn't sit at my desk and work. Everything was just a mess. My
Yeah.
gallbladder pretty much stopped working. They said it was working at about 25%. Now, metaphorically, think about that. I was not
Mhm.
able to digest the life I was living. All this,
Exactly.
it's like it's no longer, right? It's not working for me. And
Mhm.
I had gained about 22 pounds, but I was exercising all the time and I was counting calories. So I was like, what is going on? And I set another powerful intention. And it was like, something's got to give. I need to like blitz this crap. Right.
Yes.
And now here I am looking up who is this Martha Beck person. And it says, find a coach in your area. I'm like, oh, I didn't need a therapist. It's a coach. Because the therapist had been years before when my husband was
Mhm.
alive. Now it's about 3 years after. And I'm like, oh, I need a coach. That's it. So I look for a coach in my city, and there isn't one on her network. Like
Mhm.
you can look through the directory, and there isn't one. And I started to get like, well, because I didn't know there was such thing as phone coaching, and there was no Zoom back then. Uh,
Right, exactly.
no. And so I started to I went up to click on the X to close it, and I saw a link, and it said become a coach.
Mm,
That was even better than a 2x4 because
mhm.
here's what I think of it like. It was simultaneously the lightning bolt that hit
Yes.
me from this side and the cartoon boxing glove that went on from this side. It was like, I was like, oh my God, I'm supposed to be a coach. What is a coach? I don't know. I'm supposed to be a coach. And that's how I got. And then one day later, back then it was about $7,000. I spent $7,000 to go through this training because I had the knowing. And the universe was
Yes.
like, thank you finally for listening.
Ah,
I mean, I was
we've
so
been knocking
ecstatic.
at your door. You haven't been paying
Yeah.
attention. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I started in January 2010. And within 3 months, I quit that soul sucking job. And I did it. I'll tell you why. There's a quote. I think it's a niacin who said it. The bird goes out on the limb not because it trusts the limb not to break, but because it trusts its wings to fly.
Exactly. Beautiful. Yes. And that's the whole reason why your body contorted. Everything was telling you this chapter is over. Will you stop writing in the pages? This chapter is over. Now, most people will go and have coaching before they decide to be a coach. You decided to go through coaching while becoming a coach. So that is a different angle than what most people do. But
It is.
you heard the message finally. And it was, I have no option because I can't get to work on time. My body is telling me, no, no, no. Everything is shutting down because it's bringing this chapter to an end. And coaching, as you said, that we talked about this on your show, knowingness is when that message comes through and you don't argue with it. You don't need to verify, validate, justify. It just is. I need to become a coach. What is a coach? Well, you're going to find out while you're going through the coaching in becoming a coach. So I love the angle. Again, most people, well, I need to have coaching before I become a coach and to understand what it's about. Not you. It's like, I got the message. Now let's jump on in.
Yeah, and that's part of my, I don't know if you're familiar with cognitive styles. We can take all these different assessments. Well, the
Mm,
Colby Index measures your cognitive style. That's your MO, how you do what you do.
yes.
And I am like extreme on the quick start end of that, which is
Hmm.
the opposite end of the analysis paralysis end. Like
Yes.
some people love to analyze. I'm like, just give me the cliff notes because I'll run with it.
Yes. I'm
And
with that. It feels right. Let's do it.
it feels right. Yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
total go by feel person. So yeah, and so for me, coaching was a calling. It
Yes.
it called me. And I quit my job because I wasn't at this, I wasn't thinking, well, I'll learn how to be a coach. And if I'm good at it and it works out, I'll start a business. I was like, no, I'm going to be a coach. I'm not,
Yes.
this is not about getting a degree. Like, I mean, I was getting my certification, but
Yes.
it wasn't about that. It wasn't about an achievement. It was like, I'm supposed to be a coach. So why would I stay in this job? And not only was the job soul sucking, but as a single mom, I get home from work and then I'm already depleted, and now I've got three little kids.
Yes. Yes.
Mom, right? And we're doing
Yes.
dinner and cleaning up, and I'm trying to spend like at least a half hour, 45 minutes one-on-one with each child as I put them to bed in their bedtimes. And then it's like 9:30, and I'm opening my study materials. And like 4 seconds later, I'm like sleeping on the
Yeah.
book. I'm like, I can't do it all.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
what had to give was the thing that wasn't going to be my way. I mean, it was when you're supposed to be in a new direction, it's okay to give up the old.
You can't go in two directions at the same time, right? And I am like that. It's kind of the visionary. I see it. I don't know how, what, or where. I just know I see it. I've got to follow it. Virtually everything I've ever done. Can you do this? Oh, yeah. I don't know. I'll find out.
Right.
And I found out, yes, I can. No, I can't. Or I need to learn some things in order to do this. But it's that optimism of if it feels right. It's
Right.
that trust. It's right. I don't need to wait for proof. I don't need to wait for the manual. I don't need to wait for the permission, right? The
Yeah,
universe has spoken and has said,
exactly.
this is it. Just do it. The best
Just do it.
Nike thing, right? Just do it.
Just do
And
it.
so many people are waiting for that kind of security in doing it. Well, no, this is the trust in taking
Yeah,
that leap of faith, right? And you
exactly.
knew you had to. That was just no question. Because
Yeah.
I'm sure that
And
the old, cosmic two by four was saying, "Do you need another
I
one?"
don't have enough pain. But then, of course, once it's like when the hero finally heeds the call, right? Because the
Yes.
first the hero goes, I'm not doing that. No way.
Ah, yeah, not my
And then when the
problem.
hero
Yeah.
finally heeds the call, the next thing that sets in is fear,
Yes,
right?
of course.
What if I can't? What if, what if, what if? And so the way I worked through that is I said, okay, let me think about this. When I graduated from college at 21 years old, I was younger and stupider. I owned a piece of crap car and nothing else except clothes. Like
Uh-huh.
not that many clothes. And like that's all I had. And now here I am just leaving this fancy office, respect, very good at what I did,
Mhm.
and all the things I had um, amassed during the time, right? All the humps I moved through and over.
Mhm.
I moved through infertility. I went through three international adoptions. I went to Russia 5 times. Like
Wow.
I went through being a widow and rebuilding a new normal for myself and my kids. I had changed companies a few years before that for a big giant pay increase. Like I looked back and I'm like, from where I started to where I
Mhm.
am today at
Mhm.
that day, look what I did. And I
Exactly.
started in a lot younger, stupider place than I am today, right?
Exactly.
So I'm like, so of
Exactly.
course I can do it
Of course.
again,
Hmm.
right?
Yes. And we do let that oh, but you have a good job. You respect why do you want to rock the boat? And I can't tell you how many people through the years I've interviewed that have been in great positions and saying those six figures, that adoration that I get,
Yeah,
I am empty on the inside. I am poor on the inside. I am struggling to achieve anything, even though I can do it in my sleep. It's not where I belong. And so that neon sign, the book, hello, I'm here, pay attention, finally, capturing you at the right time. I think what it did, it planted the seed before your husband died, right? Then
right.
you had to go through the motions, obviously, of raising children. They come first at that time. And then the book says time to revisit. But because you had that 9 year gap, we can't waste time for you to go into discovery in the traditional sense. You are
Right.
going to have to take a leap of faith and dive right into it because we got to make up for time.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. And another thing that helped me make that leap was the example I'm setting for my children? Do
Yes.
I want to show them the example of settling, or do I
Mm,
want to show them the example of betting on yourself? When you find you've gone the wrong direction, why would you take one more step further?
exactly.
Why wouldn't you about face? Why wouldn't you listen to the GPS that says turn left right
Right.
now? Right?
And
Like,
why won't you listen to your gut and your own instincts? That's that knowingness. It's there. It's your compass. It's your guidance system. It will show you which way to go. You don't have to have the visuals. You've just got to have the trust. Okay, I know I need to go this way. Whatever it is, pay attention, radar up, pay attention to what this path is and what it means to me, and all will be revealed. It is back to that trust of knowingness of that if I just go down this path, and you're not going down quote naked. You're taking all the expertise and experience that you've had from before. So when something comes up like an opportunity, you know, oh, I can bring these skills to this equation. And
mhm,
because of those skills, I now see what I can do with this, where back then I wouldn't have been able to see it. It's just a
right.
transference of skill. It's just a redirection to use your skills in the right way. Pay attention, take that leap.
Yes. And I will say though, at that time, my reasons for taking that leap were I didn't know, I wasn't tuned into my intuition. I didn't really recognize that I had an inner compass. I didn't know
Mm.
that. I learned that as I became a coach. I was like, oh, there's a whole inner
But you
compass.
listened to the inner
Oh, I know how to
compass.
use it. I
You
did.
listened it
But
without knowing you did.
right. But the reason I took the leap was I just couldn't imagine feeling that way anymore. Like
Mm,
there isn't that there's another quote, might be a nice name also. Like when the pain to remain tight in the bud was greater than the perceived pain to blossom,
mm,
blossoming happens.
yes.
That is not exactly the right words, but you know
Hmm.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so that pain was too great. And then the justification was, I'm doing this for my kids to see an example, right? To bet on yourself, because that's way more important. The last thing I want them to do is to settle and be in pain and not be able to trust themselves. So I got to do this so that they can see, right? So I used my kid.
But you were giving yourself before. Mm. You were almost sharing your depleted self, the expectation shelf, the depleted self.
Oh yeah.
When you actually go on a path that truly is your calling, that something that lights you up and that fills you up, you become an abundance, a beacon of light, a beacon of energy that now starts pouring over and feeds into them and starts igniting possibilities inside of them. So we not only just owe it to ourselves, is that becoming illumination in our own life sheds light on other possibilities for other people. It is quite essential that we take this path. But before, all you were sharing was the surviving, not the thriving.
The surviving victim.
Yeah.
That's what I was showing them.
Hmm.
And yeah, and you are absolutely right, because that illumination they
Hmm.
they have experience, and they would tell you, oh, my mom changed radically when she
Yeah.
became a coach,
Hmm.
and
And look at the permission it gives them.
mhm,
Look at that. No, I don't need to settle. Trust my instincts, trust my gut, trust my inner voice, trust that knowingness. Go after something that I would get up every morning at 6 o'clock to do because it's so passionate instead of a
right.
duty. We have always in something we love to do, there's certainly the duty aspect of it, right? The management side of it. But when we know why we're doing it and whom we're doing it for, that's the driving force. And we want our children to have that driving force. I love what I do and who I do it for. That's what we want to hear from them.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes, exactly. And so yes, and I've had many conversations with each of them about their gut. And
Mhm.
and the obvious thing that is, whether you trust it or not, you'll recognize it's always right. Like you
Echo,
come
don't
back
argue
and you
with
go,
it.
oh, I trusted it, it was right. I didn't trust it, and it was right. The answer is always it was right.
Yes, I know. And we can't, you get to a point in life when it's resistance is futile. It's right. It's going to put you on that path, the easy way or the hard way.
Mhm.
Right. And that is how much we resist, following that path that is unknown or unseen, but knowing that we need to follow that path. And it's
Yeah.
like, trust it, trust your instincts, trust that knowingness, trust that core. It knows where you need to go. It will reveal what you need to know when you need to know it. You don't need to know everything. You didn't need to know, I need to know all of this. And then when I'm a coach, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. No, you went, discovered your coaching while you're coaching yourself.
That's
Then
very
you
true.
knew what was needed
Yeah.
because you were first handed.
Yeah. I use a metaphor like this when I'm working with clients and they can't see the end, right?
Mm,
Um, I said, so if you were going to visit your friend who lives on the other side of the country and they gave you their address and you put it into your GPS because the GPS knows the way, you don't know the way, but the GPS knows the way.
yes.
And at the beginning of the journey, it's going to look very familiar. You're going to be on streets and roads and highways that you've driven on before. But, a few hours in, you're going to be, I've never been on this part of this road before. I've never been here before. And at that point, you've got to trust your GPS is going to get you because
Yeah.
you don't know you ended in the right place until you see your friend coming out down her stairs going, here, here, right?
Yes.
And then if you're driving at night, you
Hmm.
can't even see where you are. You can only
Hmm.
see the length of what your headlights will illuminate. And
Hmm.
sometimes on our life journey, that's as far. But you trust your headlights at night as a driver, same type of thing. Even if you can't really see like the near future, you can just be in today. Just like this is what I'm doing today.
It's called being present. It's also the creativity. I interview an awful lot of musicians and artists and authors, and there's always a particular sentence or word or something that comes to mind. I want to do a story or a song or something around this, and they're willing to take the journey and discovery of what this character is or what this song is meant to be. They don't dictate it. They allow it to unravel. They allow it to become, to express itself using their artistry. And then we end up with something that is just so incredible and means so much to us. But if they were dictating every step, no, now it's got to have this, now it's got to have that, we've humified it and not divinified it. And because we haven't trusted that journey of intuition, of that discovery. And I think that creativity is the willingness to just explore where it takes you rather than dictating.
I love that. And also I love that because that's more second nature for me.
Hmm.
I'm an improviser by nature. I'm an improviser as a musician. I play piano and I can improvise anytime, drop of a hat, right?
It's expressing what you're feeling at the moment, right? It's
Right.
telling the story of your now,
Right.
right?
Out there now, exactly.
Yeah,
I'm an improviser as a cook.
yeah.
I look at a recipe and go, well, that's a nice suggestion, but I'm going to do what I want. And I just kind of, and you mentioned something about being able to take the wisdom that and the wisdom and the knowledge, like
Hmm.
which are two different things, um, and then apply it in different
Yes,
situations, right? I refer to myself as a multi-passionate conscious expander.
like
That's
that.
a big mouthful, and if
No,
it
it's a good one. Good
resonates with
description.
anybody, if it resonates, multi-passionate conscious expander, then you probably are one.
Yes.
So it has two pieces. So the multi-passionate people, we are exactly what it says. We're passionate about so many different things, and we have our fingers and toes in 20 different things at any
Exactly.
given time. We're the ones with 40 browser tabs, two, three monitors, like, right,
Yeah.
stuff piles on the desk, piles on the floor. We know everything is, but
Yes, we
but
live in chaos. It's
we
our
live
order.
in it's an ordered chaos. I know where everything is,
Yes,
but it's because we jump from one thing to
yes.
another very quickly. Barbara Shear, she's an author, passed away now, but she wrote a number of books, and one is called Refuse to Choose, which is another one of those, oh, I don't want to choose.
I'm a Libra, and God, I'm hard to choose.
So she calls us scanners,
Uh-huh.
multi-passionate people. And so we're like the scanner, the radio scanners going up and
Yes.
down. And then when it hears a good song, it stops, listen to that song. And then the next song might not be so good. So scan again. Oh,
Yeah.
here's a better
Yeah.
song,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So that's what we do with our fingers and toes in 20 different things. We we have a high desire for to be excited about things and a really low tolerance for boredom. So that's why we hop.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean we're done. We'll go back to it so our job is to discover what went missing when we decided that we got bored. Like what went
Yeah.
missing? That's
What
our
didn't keep
nectar.
my attention?
Right. Whatever went missing is our nectar. So as a multi-passionate person, that's my job is to learn what's my nectar when I get bored of something. But what's so cool is whatever I gather from these 20, 30, 40 things I'm always working on, um, multi-passion people have the gift of synthesization. We can take all of that stuff and mesh it all together in a pot and then use it in very creative ways in each one of those 40 things we're working on or through.
Yes. The
So
thread,
that's
the
yes.
common thread that goes with everything. Yeah.
Yeah, there's always a way to apply all of that, like everything
Yes.
So we just keep building our toolbox. And we're like, oh, I got a tool for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it's knowing which tool at which time. Again, it's, again, the tool is the knowledge. The wisdom is knowing how to use that knowledge, right?
Oh,
So,
excellent way to put it.
so
Excellent.
and some people will call that ADD. Apparently, I'm ADD. I'm a generator though. So it's always something that has to generate. I'm also an air sign and very much element. So I very much go with the wind. I'm not very grounded. In fact, in the true colors, the grounded builder is in another building. I've actually managed to get it into the same building now, just because of the logistics of what I have to do in raising children, but it's still very much on the low totem pole. So it's like, don't play to your weaknesses, play to your strengths, right? There's somebody you can hire that's their strength. That's
Right.
your weakness, right? So it's you do what you need to do for it. But if you're constantly worrying about your weakness, then you're not playing to that strength. And the strength is what you were designed for. That is your gift. That's who you're meant to be. Step into that gift. If everybody doesn't get it, that's okay. The people that are ready for it will get it. And those that aren't, you may be just an inspiration or you might be a headache. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
Right?
matter. It
It's
doesn't
just
matter.
that we've got to stop trying to be the one size fits all or pleasing everybody. I spent too many years trying to do that, ending up in a pretzel, being utterly miserable, right? And it was like, when you get to that point, what they think of me is not my opinion, is got nothing to do with me, right? And whether take me like a cup of tea, you can take it, or I'm a black coffee, so I'm not a tea person. So if you if I'm too much for you, that's okay. I get it. You need to find somebody that's in your vibe tribe. I need to find people in my vibe tribe. But it's about being honest with who you are, why you are, and what you're here to do. That's all that matters, is that you nurture what you're here to do. It took you a long time to get there, but it wasn't a waste of time because there was a lot of things that you were accumulating at the time. And then when you found out what you really wanted to do, that really lit your light bulb up, you had the skills to take it even beyond the teachings of coaching, right?
Yes.
Because what she gave you is the baseline of coaching. What you make out of it is your song, your piece of music, and you're bringing not only your passion but your expertise to it as well. And this is why a lot of people go into various coaching styles and they want to do it by numbers. Well, now I'm meant to do this, and now I'm meant to. No, you're not connected, right? You need to be something where it lights you up, it gets you up, it wakes you up, it sends you on a path of that self-discovery to like, oh, this is what I'm meant to do. This is who I'm meant to be. And there are steps and skills in that discovery, but it's, please put away the paint by numbers. There's a
Oh,
strategy, but be willing to take that paintbrush on your canvas of life and go wild. There is no wrong or right way, just your way, and embrace and own your way.
yes. I have lived that. I'm still living it. We never like I would say coaches are people too. You know.
Well, we understand that when we know something, we know we need to know more. So it's a forever learning,
Yes.
right? Forever
But the
discovering.
beauty of that is, as a coach, I can always take someone as far as I've come. So good
Exactly.
thing I'm learning because then I can
Yes.
further,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So,
And you're an example of it. You're not a dictator of it. You are an example of it, right?
oh, absolutely. I
Mm.
actually had someone I in my networking that I do. I know other coaches in my town, and I know a lot of people. And this one person, she came to me and she said, I know a lot of coaches because she's a real networker. And she said, but you're the only one who walks around and it seems as if you're just as happy as you say you will be when
Yes.
you know these new things, when you
Yes.
like release the things that need to be released and own the wisdom that you have and live
Yes.
your truth. And she's like, so I want that. She goes, I know these other coaches know their stuff, but they don't come off as very joyful people.
God, yes. Who needs that?
So I want some of that.
Yes.
And
Harry met Sally. I'll have what she's having.
all right.
Right?
Exactly, exactly.
And I always say that inspiration begets invitation. And when you are inspired, then people are invited to know, what are you doing? How are you so happy? And they know when it's fake. They know when somebody's rah, rah, rah,
Oh
to
yeah.
somebody that comes across as, I love life. I am joy. I am heart. I am soul. They know it. They feel it. They just want to be around it if they're ready for it. And then there's the people that, do it by numbers, the expectation, but they're not connected, right? So that inspiration of being the light, because you've lit your own light to shed light on where you want to go and where you're going, and
Yes.
you're constantly in discovery, becomes that invitation. Like, I want that. I want that. How do I get that? How do I switch my light on, Linda?
Mhm. Right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I like that very much. And I like that you mentioned that there's not everyone's ready.
Yes.
I have this little quiz on my website and it says, where are you on the island playing it safe? So you got to
Mm.
find out if you are an island dweller, a dock seeker, or an adventurer. And so the island dwellers are the people who are in that place I used to be, in that place of hoping and waiting. So they're all
Mhm.
camping out in the middle of the island, hanging out together. Sure, they have some laughs, but the jungle around them seems foreboding and unknown.
Mhm.
And so they're not going to get off the island because they're not willing to go through the jungle because they're assuming the jungle is dangerous, which it's actually not, but they don't know that. Um, and so they will sit there and camp and hang out. Um, some know they're settling because they feel this longing to get off this island playing
Mhm.
it safe, but because they don't feel they feel more comfortable in their discomfort, they're going to stay
Mm.
there.
Yes.
So for them, for people who are just in this not ready to, maybe you're settling, you're not ready to do anything about it, and that's okay. You're not ready. That's honor that you're not ready. That's fine.
Yes.
Push yourself to be ready. You'll know when you're ready. But how will you know when you're ready if you don't know what you got to be ready to do? So then
Mm.
I let them know here's what it will take. So if you know what that is, then you'll know if you're ready to do those things. But if you don't know what
Yes.
it is, you'll never know if you're ready. So
Yeah.
that's those people.
Well,
Then
the book was that. The book was that for you, right? It gave you the
it
the
was.
beginning, and then you
Yes.
had that redirection, and then when you opened it up again, I'm now ready for this. I understood what the assignment is. I'm now ready for it, right? So
Yes.
that's an example of
And
that.
that's what I call the inner switch that has to
Yeah.
flip for you to go from an island dweller to a dock seeker. So it's
Mhm.
an inner switch. I can't flip it. I could send you 2,000, marketing emails and put all sorts of stuff all over Instagram. But that switch is going to flip inside of you when it's time, if it's meant to, if it's on your journey, this go around on this planet, right? So it'll flip. And if it does, and when it does, now you're a doc seeker. And a doc seeker is the one picking up the book, the one
Yes.
listening to this podcast. I'm
Yes.
smart, I'm capable, I want to move. What do I got to do? Tell me, I will
Yes.
do it, right?
Mhm.
But they want to do it themselves. They're
Mhm.
not ready to hire Sacagawea to bring them through, even though it'd be like years faster to get to
Yes.
the doc that way. But no, I'm smart, I'm capable, I will find that doc. Where's my backpack? Right. So
Right.
we're like ready to go. So now they're the ones that I'm offering, courses and DIYs to, that I have a podcast as well. They're listening to your
Mhm.
podcast, they're buying books, right? And they are learning and growing and expanding. So conscious expanders, and I mentioned I'm one of those as
Mhm.
well, because everyone's learning and growing, but some of us are doing it deliberately on purpose
Exactly.
because
Exactly.
that
Mhm.
expansion and it feels like, ooh, I want some more of that, right?
Yeah.
So learning and growing that way. So these are the doc seekers. And once again, I cannot flip the next switch. The next internal switch happens either, and not for everybody, right? It might never happen, but for some people, it happens either because they're like, I'm impatient. I don't want to keep reading more books. I just want to just take me through. Just someone get me to the dock. I got to get off this island. I
Yeah.
got shit to do. Right? So,
Exactly.
like, I want a coach.
I'm woken up.
I want a guide. Give me something.
Yes. Yes.
So it could be that, or they're getting disgruntled in why things aren't really changing, and they've been doing so much work. They see how far they've come, but they're not really sure they have what it takes to go any further.
Yeah.
So then they're like, okay, I'm ready to have someone bring me there, right? And so that's another internal switch. And then they become an adventurer. An adventurer is someone who seeks out an expert to actually work with the expert.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's kind of a fun thing. And I know when I give talks as a speaker, I'm usually speaking to doc seekers. Usually people
Hmm.
are like, I want to know more, I want to expand. So tell me what I got to know. And I'm sure your audience is filled with these conscious expanders who want to really learn and
And
grow.
and in your show, I talked about the sunny side of the street. So same kind of analogy, slightly different. You're in the dark and you need to come out, but you haven't found the courage yet to come out. The street is lit up for you, ready to walk. And on the other side of the street are all the people that have the skills and the tools to help you, for you
Mhm.
to apply to help you to walk. But we can't help anyone until they're on that street, until they're willing to reach out and say, I need guidance. What have you got for me that I can take on my journey of life, or my journey of self-discovery? And it all comes down to the wisdom is around you all the time. Are you ready to receive it? Are you stuck in the knowledge of I've got to, I have to, it's expected to? Or are you into what do I need to do? Help me find that voice, that path, that light, and let me discover what it is, with your tools and your skills for myself. What is my meaningful purpose? But we've got to apply. On my shows, it's listen, learn, and apply. Well, that's it. Listen, there's something you've heard that has been a ha-ha moment for you. All right. How do you apply that? Is it reaching out to Linda because you want to have a conversation, whether are you ready for her coaching or not? Are you on that dock? You kind of see the dock, but quite know how to get there because there's a little mountain in between, and she can help you do that. But that willingness to participate in our own journey. No one can take your journey. No one, no one, no one can take your journey, but they can give you the tools and the skills and the mindset and heart set and soul set and the conscious set to do it, and that you can apply to your own journey that then illuminates your own journey and your own light, your own path, your own meaningful purpose. But you got to participate.
Got to participate. And it's never too late.
Never,
Never
never.
too late. People feel like a lot of times like, well, this is the life I have. And like I did a webinar recently about how to reboot your life without blowing it up. Because
Mm-hmm,
that's the
mm-hmm.
big fear people have is, oh my God, I'm going to have to blow everything up. I'm going to have to, get divorced, move to Bali, like, quit my
We
job.
don't need to go to those extremes.
You
No.
might, you probably won't. Like I remember having a client who, when she discovered who she was, because that's what we always got to
Mm-hmm.
work through that every time. Because how do you hear what you want if you don't know who you are? So
Exactly,
you got to discover
exactly.
who you are. And she was like a C-suite executive, and she was the only female, and she felt like she was given the grunt work of CE,
Mm-hmm.
whatever she was at the time. And that she wasn't really respected. She could feel, she felt like an outsider from the good old boys club. And she was like, I gotta leave that company. And she discovered who she was, and she stepped into her own power. She, without and telling anybody anything at work, they started treating her differently. She started meeting work differently, experiencing it differently. And
Mm-hmm.
at the end of our time together, she was like, oh my God, I love my job. I want to stay at this company. And it's so wild. I'm being treated with respect and being
Yeah.
given, better
Mm-hmm.
things to do that I think are more important. I'm leading, and so it wasn't it's everybody else.
Yes,
It's like,
exactly.
yeah, step
Exactly.
into your power.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like when we step in and take ownership of self, unapologetically, proudly, lovingly, caringly, that resonates out. That ripple effect resonates out. People will treat you as you treat yourself.
Yes.
Treat yourself with respect, with love, with kindness, with embracement, with grace, with patience. Other people will feel that. They're drawn to you because of the essence of who you are. But that essence needs to be true to who you are, and you need to nurture yourself. How many people go, girlfriend, you've got to do this, you've got to do that? How about talking to the mirror, right? Have that conversation that you're so eager to have with everybody else and have it in the mirror. Don't turn your eye away. You talk to yourself in the mirror. Are you being kind to yourself? Are you being loving to yourself? You're expecting everyone to show you love and kindness and hear you. Are you hearing you? Are you being kind? Are you just being the doormat? They're going to treat you as what you lay out. So if you don't want that, you rise up, girl. Guy, you rise up. Come to that higher consciousness of that beautiful being, and you will see how people will treat you differently.
Yes, 100%. It's really about stepping into the who of you, loving, like, you're going to love who you find. You don't need to be
Yes.
afraid to find who you are.
No.
And you don't need to be afraid that other people won't love who you find either, because that's one of the big fears. Like, what if I step into my power and then all of a sudden the people that I care about are like, I don't like you anymore. What happened to you? And you're like, well, it happened to me and I love it. I'm so happy. And
Yeah.
right, most people who care about you want you to be happy. And
Yes.
as they see you be happy, it actually takes a little weight off of their shoulders, because we always want to help others, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a gift to be able to help others. And but it also can, some people can let that be a weight, like I have to help make someone else happy, which is not true, because it's
No.
A, not your job, and B, not actually within your power to make another person happy.
No.
Happiness is, like you said earlier, an inside job. An
Mm-hmm.
inside job. It comes from inside, because our emotions are caused by our thoughts, 100%. So if you don't like how you're feeling, you got to change how you're thinking about it.
Exactly.
And if you can perceive other people differently, that's something I always help my clients do, is perceive. Like, they see someone as a villain. And I said, well, can you see them maybe for the scared animal or the wounded
Mm-hmm.
animal they are in the corner? And why would you expect them not to bite or claw? Like,
Right.
can you imagine what they must have gone through or be going through? Everything that spews out of their mouth is, they're really talking to themselves. It's called projection.
Yeah.
So if they're judgmental, can you imagine how much they judge themselves? Can
Exactly.
you imagine how hard it might be to be them? And when you start seeing people around you
Mm-hmm.
differently, with compassion, you start seeing them with empathy and compassion, then you stop blaming them, and you can show up differently for them. And relationships change in beautiful ways when that happens,
Yeah.
without
And
them having to change.
exactly. I mean, we're not talking about not holding someone accountable if they're being really cruel and vulgar, but it's understanding why they're doing it,
Yeah,
right? So you can forgive the why they're doing it because of the generally the inner child that is screaming for attention and love and everything else, and they just aren't willing to take that journey of self-discovery and healing, um, because generally they're so wounded, and defensive that they haven't found that strength and courage to do so yet. But we still do have to hold and or not accept behavior that is harmful to you. So we're not saying let them continue to do it, but it's at the same time is I hear you and this is how you feel, but I'm not willing to accept. So it is boundaries of your energy that isn't going to get shattered by what they're doing.
absolutely. And I love talking about boundaries. Thank you for opening that door, Sarah. Okay, so boundaries are a gift of love we give ourselves.
Yes.
Boundaries are not a talk to the hand, you stay over there, I'm standing right here. That is not a boundary. It's a gift of love you give to yourself because you love yourself.
Mm,
So until you've repaired your perception of your worthiness, you won't believe you deserve a boundary
mhm,
or any boundaries. So that is the first step, is to know that you are worthy of setting boundaries and
mm,
having these boundaries. The second step is to determine on your own, without being with another person, where is the line? Where is the line? And what will I do in my power when someone crosses it? No matter who that is. that
Hmm.
crosses it. When someone crosses that boundary, what will I do that's in my power? You need to know the answer to that first, because a boundary without an action tied to it is really just a suggestion, right? So
Yes,
we don't want
yes.
our boundaries just be, well, I suggest you stop yelling at me, right? So we have to know what we will do, but it has to be within our power. So it's not about punishing the other person, it's about
Mm-mm.
loving ourselves.
Hmm.
So how can I love myself when someone crosses that line? Right. So if it's the case of someone's, being nasty to me or yelling at me, right? The boundary that I will set, I would say, would be like, okay, when someone starts yelling at me, I'm going to um, get out of that negative energy and regroup,
Hmm.
because I can't think straight when I'm emotional. So I
Yes,
got to get out of that and I got to get myself to think straight. So that's the boundary. The second step is to communicate the boundary, not in the heat of the moment, in a
yes,
different part. And the communication is, so there's a couple things, not in the heat of the moment. That's number one. And number two, you need to candy coat it with what's in it for them. That's
yeah,
just a genius way to do it.
yeah,
Listen, I realize that I get emotional. I can't really be productive in a conversation when I'm emotional. And I get emotional when I'm feeling like that I'm being yelled at. So when I get emotional because I'm being yelled at, I'm going to leave the room so I can start to think straight and give myself some space so that I can be productive in this conversation.
yeah,
So that would be like a candy coating. That's what's in it for you, person I'm
yeah,
communicating. And then the third thing is enforcing the boundary 100% of the time. Because if you don't enforce it, it's again
yes,
just a suggestion.
yeah.
So 100% of the time, when there's, a shove in a basketball game, that referee blows the whistle
Hmm.
100% of the time, if he
Hmm.
or she sees it, right? But they blow the whistle. And then, like, oh, it doesn't mean I'm a terrible person. It doesn't mean I'm not worth anything. It just means I
I've
shoved. Yeah,
overstepped the boundaries.
I
Yeah,
know better, but I
yeah,
did it.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. We blow the whistle. The other team gets the ball and we move on with the game.
yeah,
So then when you have to enforce this boundary, a good thing to do is to say, remember, and the
yeah,
sugar coating, candy coating
yeah,
again, remember that I can't be very productive in this conversation because I'm feeling really emotional right now. So I got to go and regroup and try to like get myself calm and peaceful so I can be good in this conversation. So I'm going to take 5, right?
yeah,
And when you do that, of course, the other person's probably going to take 5 and reground, and you're probably going to come back to the conversation, both of you, better for it. So those are some really important things to know about boundaries. But until you repair your perception of your
yeah.
worthiness, if you don't feel fully worthy, then you will try this boundary thing and it's not going to work. So if it's not working, you might be missing one of those things that I've mentioned. And if you are doing all those things and it's still not working, it's probably because you don't really truly believe you're worthy of that loving boundary, that way of loving yourself.
You're right. Oh, and it can be in certain cases where you're dealing with somebody that is in such turmoil and anger and everything else. All they want to do is dump, dump, dump. And
Mm-hmm.
they're not hearing you. They're not hearing boundaries. We need to take 5 or anything like that. They're just like offloading. And it's okay to walk away. If
Mm-hmm.
you, and that's loving yourself as well. If you're in a position where it's just no matter what you do, no sugarcoating is doing it, love yourself, walk away. You do not have to accept this.
Right. Because that the boundary isn't about behavior modification of the other
No,
person. Not
no,
at all. Whether
no.
they understand or don't has nothing to do with you setting and enforcing your own boundaries.
Yes, yes.
Don't do it so you can, I'm going to teach them how to treat me. Like, I know we say that, but that's not really how that works.
No,
They're
no.
going to treat you however they treat you based on their own fears and insecurities and their own
Yes.
perception of their own self-worth. And that's as good as they can get. That's it. Right. So,
Yeah,
yeah, but
if we give them the boots, to kick us with, we're responsible for that. And we've got to understand sometimes, maybe what have we done to ignite that in them? How can I rephrase it? How can I back off? And it's there are just some, and especially right now with this conscious awakening that's going on, this conscious rebellion that is happening, people are waking up to the fact that we do need to rise up. Everybody needs to step into self-love and kindness so we can bring that to the table. We are the peace we seek, we are the love we seek, we are the solution we seek. Um, and the anger is the problem. And the anger is, where we feel everybody else has done this to us. and we don't know what to do. That accountability of you taking the action to realize you're angry, to realize you're bitter, to realize, oh, they did me wrong, it's all their fault. Is that there's always the other equation. Well, why did you stay? Because you gave them permission to do so. And there is no shame or blame here. This is just an awakening, a realization, and that change is needing to happen. And that's where you find your strength and your courage. I am willing to change. I'm willing to take that journey. And it might be bumpy at first. I may not like some of the things that get revealed about myself, some habits that I didn't know I was doing. But I promise you, there isn't one person that hasn't gone through that process of self-healing, self-discovery, and discovering who they are and what they're here to do that has regretted the journey. Not one.
Not one, not one. It's a very beautiful journey.
Yeah.
It's um, because there's more light at every step.
Yeah.
Even when the steps are asking yourself, you know, where am I? Where am I experiencing fear that I'm spewing that onto others?
Yes.
You ask
Yes.
a question like that and it's illuminating. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm afraid of this or I'm afraid of that. And once you do that, you can give yourself grace. Like,
Hmm.
okay, I'm afraid. Okay, that's nice. Now at least I have this awareness and I'm going to really now make a concerted effort not to throw that at other people. My
Exactly.
not to spread
Exactly.
it around.
Mm.
It's mine for me to sit with and find if it's basically you want to find what's false about it because it's always there's the
Yeah.
acronym of fear, FEAR, false evidence appearing real.
Yes. Which we see so
So
much of right now.
right.
Yeah.
So just that awareness. And so as you step into the things that you would like to release, it's still illuminating. It's
Yes.
still an amazing step. When I became a coach, being coached and all what how I expanded in the process and what I was able to let go, because coaching is a
Mm.
productive process. It's like peeling.
Yes.
We're getting the schmutz off your light. That's what we do.
Mm. Hmm.
Deschmutz, deschmutz, deschmutz. So you can see that light. So there's every time we deschmutz, more light comes through. It's
Yeah,
just
exactly.
beautiful. And when I was going through that, the journey, my journey was so beautiful and so profound. I would have paid 4 times what I had to pay for that coaching,
Yeah.
school had I known. Like I would have been
Yeah.
like, oh my God, this is worth like $35,000. My life is
Yes.
that much different. And then when I wanted to become a master coach, we had to apply because it wasn't just like a school you signed up for. You
Mm.
put an application, to only 12 people a year get in. That's it. And one of the questions was why.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
my answer was the profound expansion that I experienced in the night and day of my life from before to after in regular coach training was so like
Hmm.
that I'm like I want more, and that's the
Hmm.
conscious expander part of me is
Yes.
like ooh, it's like tangible, like give me more, like I want
Yes.
more, I want to do
This
more,
is
be more, have more
working.
impact, right,
Yes.
like give me
Yes.
more.
Yes.
Which apparently was enough to get me into the program. um, yeah. And so that's, it's really this, it's so profound and it's so beautiful and it's so not anything to be afraid of, you
No.
know,
No.
by
And the thing is,
discovering your gifts. Ooh, so
yeah, I know,
awesome.
but it's not just discovering new gift, it's discovering all those old habits, whether they're DNA, ancestral, past life, this life. I've been carrying this around. My God,
Right.
no wonder I felt so heavy. And as you let things go, oh, this old pattern, I've always done it. Did it work? You know,
Oh,
is
it
it
was,
working for you? And so
no,
the
yeah.
power of letting things go, that they no longer have clamps on you, of declamping and God, oh no. When I went through the process of letting go of this heavy coat that was weighing me down, and it was, my mother's issues, my father's issues, and ancestral issues, and cosmic. We kept trying to come through all these human conditions, and it's just like as I let go, as I let go, as I let go, not only did I become lighter, but I became calmer. I became more purposeful, more directional, and more at peace with who I am and why I am, more in love with life. a more understanding what my role is in this life. But until you're willing to let go and say, this is no longer serving me, this doesn't belong to
Right.
me. And the only person that can give you permission to do that is yourself. The only person that can press go is you, right? But when you decide to, you discover your strength, you discover your courage, you discover your abilities, you discover your meaningful purpose, you discover your joy, you discover what life is really about and why you're here. Come on in, the waters are great.
100%, Sarah. Oh my gosh, it's very true. And I think words like empowerment don't make
Mm,
sense to people
no,
who don't feel powerful.
yeah.
And then when you've gone through this transformation and you're like, oh my God, everything I need is already inside of me.
Yes.
The one I've been waiting for. Oh
Yes,
my gosh. Now
exactly.
you're using words like empowerment and,
Yes,
you
they
know,
mean something. They're no longer just words, they
they're no
mean
longer
something.
coachy
And
buzzwords. Yeah.
yeah, and there's so much else that means things to you, things that you didn't see before that now you see, that you pay attention to, that you realize are your fuel. And you're not scared to take new directions and go new places and make new discoveries because you were always taking your own light. For a long time, I was in the dark, bad marriage, ill health, just my soul escaped to the darkness because it just didn't want to be shattered anymore. I could see the light, it was inviting me out, and eventually I heard it and I came out and it was blinding. There was too much light. I could feel the shadows chasing me until I realized the shadows were contouring the light and giving it shape. I can now go into the darkness, for I am the light, so I never fear the dark.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful way to put it. I love that.
But we can all do it. It's just a question, are we willing to take the journey? That journey of self discovery, that meaningful purpose. And do not expect it's all going to happen in 1 month. No, for some people, like you, I am ready to become a coach to do my coaching, right? Everybody is going to have a different mindset on it. And the mind has to give permission for everything else to work. And it's just be willing to take the journey. Don't put a time thing on it. Don't put an expectation on it. Just be willing to discover, be present, pay attention, absorb, become. And you next thing you know, my God, I am chalk and cheese, right? To what I used to be. But you don't get there unless you participate. Stop, keep looking forward, be present, it will move you forward.
Yes, absolutely. And this conversation might be what someone needs to hear. And these
Mm.
are things that, what you and I are saying, we're not the first people to say this.
No,
you know,
no, we're not
like
the first people to do it or go through it,
do it or
right?
go through it or say it. There's so many, life illuminators in the world,
Mm.
beautiful illuminators. But perhaps, someone listening today needs to hear this from me and you today in our
Yes.
unique way in
Yeah.
order for it to be like, whoa, maybe this is the book.
Yes. They
Whoa.
listen, they learn. Now go and apply.
Go and apply. And applying can be like we talk about in coaching, turtle steps. A
Mm.
step that's small enough that you're not afraid to take it,
Yeah.
that's in the direction that you want. And if the direction you want is just something simple like, I want to be 1% happier tomorrow, something simple,
Mm.
right? Right? What's the smallest step I can take today that's not scary, right? That will help me be 1% happier tomorrow, right? And whatever that is. So we don't have to take big
No,
giant leaps. People
no,
think this has got to be, I gotta go off the high dive and it's going to be
no,
scary. It's not how it works.
no.
Um, like everybody's different. I coach with a lot of humor. If someone tells me something they've been doing a pattern, I might be like,
Mm.
so how's that working for you?
Mm.
Like I might be a little goofy, you know.
Keeping
Um,
it real. Yeah.
Keeping it real. I always share my stories with all my
Mm.
clients. Not all coaches do it. We all have our own styles
Mm.
and whatever. Um,
But it's
but
relatable and it
it's,
shows the teacher's gone through the lesson. So
yes,
it makes
absolutely.
and that makes it more relatable. You're not just doing this from an exercise book. You've taken the journey so you understand. You've
Yeah,
applied the tools so
I
you understand, right? Yeah. You
and
are
even
an
I
example, but
mean,
it works.
totally, yeah. And I don't have all the tools in my toolbox. Just this
Right.
morning, I had a beautiful energy session with another coach, Dana DeLuco, who's so gifted. And I don't know what she did, but she just
Mm,
pulled out a bunch of crap I didn't need that my own tools are unable to get rid of, the
right.
energetic level crap, the subconscious crap, right? And because I recognize, I think when it comes to coaching, we need to coach at three levels. We need to coach at the cerebral perception mindset level, which is my level of expertise. We
Mm,
need to coach at the somatic level, right? How your body is holding in trauma and emotions, and
mm.
we need to coach at the energetic level, and that's where I was
Yes.
this morning, is with my coach doing that. And it's such a, I mean, it's so cool, these modalities that I had no clue of,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
then I got into this, just my little step, my little find that book and start writing in it. I would not have my future self back
Mm.
then, my today's self, she wouldn't recognize me. She'd be like, what, wait, that's me in the future? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
what? Yeah.
I draw the analogy that we're all in discovery of what our instrument is. And once we discover that instrument, we learn how to play it, we play it to the best of our ability, from a heart and soul place. But then we look for an orchestra to join. And that orchestra is only as strong as everybody's contribution, everybody's strength, and the willingness to play harmoniously together. And then we become transcending. That orchestra is not made up of one instrument, it's made up of many instruments, and each one of them is impactful, powerful, and needed. You are one instrument in this orchestra. She is one instrument. We're going to find on our journey, we need many instruments as we go through in discovery of our own music. And you're that step of waking up the mind, realizing where we're at, and that we are powerful enough to take that first leap, which is the first step forward, whether it's one toe at a time or a whole foot, that we can do it. And then once they've kind of completed with you, now they might be ready for something else. And that's the point of it, is we're always in discovery. You recognize, I need some energy healing, right? And that's knowing yourself and knowing what you need. And unless you are aware of what you need, or aware that there are other people that can help you along the way, you're going to be stuck because you just don't know. So
It's not a
get
solo,
going.
it's not a solo journey by any means.
No,
There's,
no,
I mean, we don't know how to do everything. You know,
no, we're not
I
meant to.
I'm not an Olympic athlete, so why would I go, oh, I think I'm going to try to figure out how to be an Olympic athlete all by
Yeah.
myself, right?
Yeah. No.
I don't know the pathway to get there. And I haven't been there before. So I want to use an expert who knows the pathway if that's where I
Yes.
want to be. So the discovery helps you reveal
Mm,
what, who and what, and your why, most importantly, your why,
yes.
which
The why is everything, because when you know that why, right, then you really can to take things on. But you've got a free gift for people. Ditch the hustle and find your flow, a smarter path to success. Can you tell people about that? And also, can you give people your website, your podcast website, and any of the social medias you like to share?
absolutely. Okay, so this ditch your hustle and find your flow. So when I was first embarking on this journey to becoming a coach, one of my early epiphanies was, okay, I've been climbing the ladder of success, and I realized my ladder's leaning against the wrong building. I don't want to be on the roof of this building. Why am I, what? So
Exactly.
I started questioning how I had been defining success and where that definition came from. And it was shown to me and given to me, and then, massaged by, so parents, professors, and peers. Okay. And social media and TV and MTV Cribs and whatever. Right. So that's what success looks like. And I asked myself, but I don't want to live in a 5,000 square foot home. I don't want to join a
Mm,
country club. I don't
mm,
want, like, why am I doing the things along that path when that's not even what I want? But I had not asked myself what I wanted. And because I didn't truly knew myself, I couldn't.
yeah.
So as I went through this process, I discovered what success truly meant for me, my terms, my own
Mm,
definition. And then I wrote a little book, a little ebook about the process.
Hmm.
And so it's a little, to do book because the answers are inside. I can't give them to
Hmm.
you, but I will ask you about fulfillment and freedom and life balance. And then we'll talk about the money and the possessions and the
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
and the things, right? And so when you go through this little ebook, which is just free on my website, um, you will find your personal definition of success.
Hmm.
And that's a beautiful starting point because you could start taking small turtle steps in that direction. But more importantly, because you just got to know more of you. You just got to
Yeah,
start to discover
little
who you
light
are.
bulb.
So it's pretty cool that way. So you can get that. My website is lindabucher.com, LINDAB as in boy, UCHER.com. And it's just lindabucher.com/success. That's how you can get that. It's also on the freebies page on my website because there's a bunch of freebies up there. Also, you can get to my podcast because that's also one of the main menu things on that website. And from the podcast page, you can listen right on that page, or you can just link on over to your favorite platform, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, wherever you like to listen, and you can find the podcast. And that podcast is called Conversations Worth Your While. And it's a show where I chat with heart-centered experts to, help the audience grow in some way. And there are conversations around everything. Some are woo woo, some are about physical health, some are about leadership, some are about the corporate world. Like I speak with experts all over, and I love it because they're all heart centered. And in every episode, we solve a problem for the audience. So look at the titles. If something's, is like, oh, I want to learn about that, I want to know about that, then click on it and help yourself with that. And then, yeah, my website also links to LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. So those are my socials are on there as well.
And your YouTube conversations
Oh,
worthwhile.
YouTube.
And
Let's not, yeah, forget
yeah.
that. I definitely have a channel on YouTube where you can find not just the Conversations Worth Your While podcast, but I got other playlists of shorts, um,
Mm.
just little tiny vignettes of little how-tos and give
Little
yourself
tidbits.
graces and
Yeah.
yeah, those types of things. Yeah.
And I've had the honor of being on your show as well, which came out yesterday. And so you're getting double whammy this week of
Yeah.
both Linda and I. And we certainly have gone deep with our conversations on both sides. And, I always talk to people about having a podcast group, listen to a podcast, a glass of wine, a cup of coffee, take notes, and then share what you've got out of it. Because suddenly all those different perspectives give you a rounder picture and it becomes exciting. It also kind of deepens what you've just learned rather than dismissing it. So it's a good idea to have and a good excuse to get together with some good pals and listen to a podcast.
I love that. I think that's such a beautiful idea. Um, and because like when you discuss, you are cementing,
Yes.
it, and you
Hmm.
are taking action in the
Hmm.
discussion. You are fertilizing that seed that was
Hmm.
planted in the podcast, right? So it's a beautiful thing. And because I know a lot of people love podcasts and they just finish one and then go on to another, go on
Yeah.
to another, and don't take any action.
Yes.
A podcast, club, like a book club, I think is such a wonderful idea.
Yeah. Back to that listen, learn, and apply, because it's always going to be a different light bulb. But all of a sudden, you've got an enormous illumination by everybody sharing what light bulb they had. And so, what we've done is just turn the volume up on that conscious awakening, and we've allowed other people to share their light instead of just holding it and, well, what do I do with this? It's also a little bit of accountability, right,
Oh,
with other people as well, which sometimes you need to take that action. So have a
yeah.
podcast party, folks. As I said, a good excuse to get together with a bunch of friends and gain some wisdom. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing here today. Your journey, your cosmic two by fours, you're jumping into something. Not everybody, you and I are both jumpers in. We're generators, we see something, we go for it. Not everybody's like that. And as you said, turtle steps. It's wherever you're at, just the willingness to go forward, to explore, to inquire, to investigate, to open up. Just that first step, whatever personality type you are, nothing's going to happen to you in stagnancy. You have to be willing to change it, and that means action. But it doesn't mean you have to put it in fifth gear to get out the gate. You can go along in first gear and gradually go up. It all works if it's working for you. That's the big thing. When it's working for you, you will change those gears as you go. Then there's no expectation to get into fifth gear straight away, just because we do.
And I'm actually not a generator. I'm a projector.
All right.
And the
Aha.
projectors are the
Yes.
guides. We're the guides for the
Yes.
generators of the
Yes.
world.
Yes. Yes, and I'm definitely a generator. So yes, it's all about generating possibilities. I look at it, and there are so many possibilities. And it's only when you decide to wake up and you see them clearly. And now it's finding people you can do those possibilities with, right? There's always answers, folks, always solutions. We've just got to be willing to open up our eyes, our hearts, our souls, and our spirits to see them. We need you to rise. We need that consciousness of you to rise. We need you to be that beacon of light. There's a lot of darkness in the world, and what we need right now is your light. So please reach out to Linda. Get that ebook. It's the first step. Read it. If it resonates, her style resonates with you, reach out. But we're inviting you to take your first step because we know you can do it. And we need you to be all you can be.
And we know you're going to love it.
Oh, yeah. As I said, the waters are great. Come on in. It's worth the journey. I promise you, it's worth it. So, folks, until next time, remember, you are the light that you seek, you are the love you seek, and the peace that you seek. So just come on in and share your light, ignite it, and be all that you're meant to be. Until next time, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.